Okay, I'm gonna have this plan until they get to the part where the question is about the women in the workplace and equal pay. Yeah. So as this is running, so if you guys did remember to donate for your Kiva, again it's only $25. You guys can donate $5 or more, so we can group that money up and go to donate it on Kiva by next week. If you didn't forgot your money, then that's okay, then we'll do it next week. So again, the Making Strides for Breast Cancer is next week on the 27th. I know a lot of clubs are doing it, so I hopefully will see you there, and you'll get your hours for this club and the other clubs if you're in that. And I want to talk quickly about material donations. So maybe you don't necessarily need to donate your money, but we would really like it if you guys can donate like paint and supplies such as paintbrushes, booster paper, kind of like the ones behind that table. Okay, and okay, so I thought we would have time for questions, but unfortunately today is a normal day of staff collab, so we're probably going to postpone that. But on the other hand, we're going to talk about not the binders of women, but the question that refers to women in the workplace. So I'm just going to turn this off.
So we're gonna have like an activity with other clubs to like interact with Red Cross, and it's called a socks drive. So what we do is like we don't like all our members just donate a pair of socks, and our goal is 4,000 pairs of socks. And then we're gonna like hand them out directly to people in San Francisco that are in this homeless shelter. So you guys can help us reach our goals by bringing a pair of socks to the next meeting, and then I'll just collect them and then count them up.
Music is even personal. When I was in medicine, I was worried the healthcare system spoke a language all the time.
Did you see the Facebook page, the binders of women? It's got like 300,000 likes today.
But that's not what you've done in the last 4 years. That's the problem. In the last 4 years, you cut permits and licenses on federal land and federal waters in half.
Not true, Governor Romney.
So, and you wanted to take Detroit bankrupt. Well, the president took
10 years from now, 20 years from now. That's why we invest in solar, wind, and biofuels.
I don't remember when it was.
Be good for our economy, and it will be good for our economy, and it will be good for job creation. Now, Governor Romney has a different philosophy. Be good for our economy, and it will $7 or $8 trillion. And we're going to pay for it,
The
but
college student.
we can't tell you until maybe after the election how we're going to do it.
That was the first question.
We gave you a John and Abigail. President's policies have been exercised over the last 4 years, and they haven't put Americans back to work. We have fewer people working today than we had when the president took office. If the unemployment rate was 7.8% when he took office, it's 7.8% now. But if you calculated that unemployment rate, taking back the people who dropped out of the workforce, it would be 10.7%. We have not made the progress we need to make to put people back to work. That's why I put out a 5-point plan that gets America 12 million new jobs in 4 years and rising take-home pay. It's going to help Jeremy get a job when he comes out of school. It's going to help people across the country that are unemployed right now. And one thing that the president said, which I want to make sure that we understand, he said that I said we should take Detroit bankrupt. And that's right. My plan was to have the company go through bankruptcy like
feel left behind? Shop ATT.com for great phones starting at under $1.
In what new ways do you intend to rectify the inequalities in the workplace, specifically regarding females making only 72% of what their male counterparts earn?
Okay, this is a great question. And, you know, I was raised by a single mom who had to put herself through school while looking after 2 kids. And she worked hard every day and made a lot of sacrifices to make sure we got everything we needed. My grandmother, she started off as a secretary in a bank. She never got a college education, even though she was smart as a whip. And she worked her way up to become a vice president of a local bank, but she hit the glass ceiling. She trained people who would end up becoming her bosses during the course of her career. She didn't complain. That's not what you did in that generation. And this is one of the reasons why the first bill I signed was something called the Lilly Ledbetter Bill. And this is named after this amazing woman who had been doing the same job as a man for years, found out that she was getting paid less, and the Supreme Court said that she couldn't bring suit because she should have found out about it earlier, which she had no way of finding out about it. So we fixed that. And that's an example of the kind of advocacy that we need, because women are increasingly the breadwinners in the family. This is not just a women's issue, this is a family issue, this is a middle class issue, and that's why we've got to fight for it. It also means that we've got to make sure that young people like yourself are able to afford a college education. Earlier, Governor Romney talked about he wants to make Pell Grants and other education accessible for young people. Well, the truth of the matter is that that's exactly what we've done. We've expanded Pell Grants for millions of people, including millions of young women, all across the country. We did it by taking $60 billion that was going to banks and lenders as middlemen for the student loan program, and we said, let's just cut out the middleman. Let's give the money directly to students. And as a consequence, we've seen millions of young people be able to afford college, and that's going to make sure that young women are going to be able to compete in that marketplace. But we've got to enforce the laws, which is what we are doing, and we've also got to make sure that in every walk of life, we do not tolerate discrimination. That's been one of the hallmarks of my administration. I'm going to continue to push on this issue for the next 4 years.
Governor Romney, pay equity for women.
Thank you, and important topic, and one which I learned a great deal about, particularly as I was serving as governor of my state, because I had the chance to pull together a cabinet, and all the applicants seem to be men.
Lena Nguyen, please report to the attendance office. Lena Nguyen, please report to the attendance office.
Gosh, can't we find some women that are also qualified? And so we took a concerted effort to go out and find women who had backgrounds that could be qualified to become members of our cabinet. I went to a number of women's groups and said, can you help us find folks? And they brought us whole binders full of women. I was proud of the fact that after I staffed my cabinet and my senior staff, that the University of New York in Albany did a survey of all 50 states and concluded that mine had more women in senior leadership positions than any other state in America. Now, one of the reasons I was able to get so many good women to be part of that team was because of our recruiting effort, but number two, because I recognized that if you're going to have women in the workforce, that sometimes they need to be more flexible. My chief of staff, for instance, had 2 kids that were still in school. She said, I can't be here until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I need to be able to get home at 5 o'clock so I can be there for making dinner for my kids and being with them when they get home from school. So he said, fine, let's have a flexible schedule so you can have hours that work for you. We're going to have employers in the new economy, in the economy I'm going to bring to play, that are going to be so anxious to get good workers, they're going to be anxious to hire women. In the last 4 years, women have lost 580,000 jobs. That's the net of what's happened in the last 4 years. We're still down 580,000 jobs. I mentioned 3.5 million women more now in poverty than 4 years ago. What we can do to help young women and women of all ages is to have a strong economy, so strong that employers are looking to find good employees and bringing them into their workforce and adapting to a flexible work schedule that gives women the opportunities that that they would otherwise not be able to afford. This is what I've done, it's what I look forward to doing, and I know what it takes to make an economy work. And I know what a working economy looks like. And an economy with 7.8% employment is not a real strong economy. An economy that has 23 million people looking for work is not a strong economy. An economy with 50% of kids graduating from college that can't find a job or a college level job, that's not what you have to have. I'm going to help women in America get good work by getting a stronger economy and by supporting women in the workforce.
Mr. President, why don't you get in on this quickly, please?
Catherine, I just want to point out that when Governor Romney's campaign was asked about the Lilly Ledbetter bill, whether he supported it, he said, "I'll get back to you." And that's not the kind of advocacy that women need in any economy. Now, there's some other issues that have a bearing on how women succeed in the workplace. For example, their health care. Now, a major difference in this campaign is that Governor Romney feels comfortable having politicians in Washington decide the health care choices that women are making. I think that's a mistake. In my health care bill, I said insurance companies need to provide contraceptive coverage to everybody who's insured. Because this is not just a health issue, it's an economic issue for women. It makes a difference. This is money out of that family's pocket. Governor Romney not only opposed it, he suggested that, in fact, employers should be able to make the decision as to whether or not a woman gets contraception through her insurance coverage. That's not the kind of advocacy that women need. When Governor Romney says that we should eliminate funding for Planned Parenthood, there are millions of women all across the country who rely on Planned Parenthood for not just contraceptive care, they rely on it for mammograms, for cervical cancer screenings. That's a pocketbook issue for women and families all across the country. And it makes a difference in terms of how well and effectively women are able to work. When we talk about child care and the credits that we're providing, that makes a difference in terms of whether they can go out there and earn a living for their family. These are not just women's issues. These are family issues. These are economic issues. And one of the things that makes us grow as an economy is when everybody participates and women are getting the same fair deal as men are. And I've got two daughters, and I want to make sure that they have the same opportunities that anybody's sons have. That's part of what I'm fighting for as President of the United States.
Tell us what kind of mulch you used last year and how much you bought.
I don't remember the name. I don't know. Reflect on what people say. Don't ignore all the other details about like what Romney said about Obama. Just focus on their plan for women, and hopefully you'll get to see the light. Yeah, that's it. You guys can sign in with Jessica for that. Thank you.